All righty. Good Tuesday, all you happy people. I apologize because I am 93 seconds late. Promised you I'd be here at 11, a little bit later than that. What I am going to do while you all are hopping on is I'm going to make sure that I'm actually showing up live on LinkedIn and Facebook. This is not streaming live on YouTube. Reason for that being is I thought it was pretty cool last week when people reached out and said they actually came on LinkedIn and Facebook to listen from YouTube in the podcast. So I want to keep it kind of concentrated. So it's only on LinkedIn and Facebook. So you're not trying to find me all over the place. Now, just as a reminder, if you were on LinkedIn, I cannot actually see you until you comment. So make sure you say, hey, let me know where you're tuning in from. Whoever is on Facebook right now, same thing. I see you, but I don't. So say, hey, let me know where you're tuning in from as well. So let me see. Let me share this. Make sure the audio is good. Oh, come on. Whoever that is on Facebook, you need to go ahead and just let me know who it is. We're all family here. Hey, Derek, how are you doing? I saw that you were finishing up school. Congratulations on that, sir. I am so happy to be done with that part of my life. And will you remind me, what are you studying? Good, good. I'm glad you're great. So, Derek Dennis is tuning in from right here in Louisville, Kentucky. Thanks for joining, Derek. And then Christine is on LinkedIn, tuning in from Atlanta. How is the weather right now in Atlanta, Christine? I know it's been rainy, stormy here. So a little bit of humidity. You see, I'm twisted up because natural hair can't play with the humidity. But whenever I go to Atlanta, the humidity always, it never ceases to fail or amaze me, surprise me because it's crazy. All right, so then we have Deepa. If I did not say that correctly, please let me know because people always mispronounce my name. So if I'm saying it incorrectly, let me know. I'm a little sensitive to that. So Deepa says, hi, Timlin. I connected with you a few days back. Well, thank you for connecting. I'll be sure to shoot you a message. Love what you do. I'm working as a tax professional and preparing for the EA. Very, very, very cool. So, Deepa, when have you scheduled to take your first exam? Derek, you're looking at organizational leadership and learning in healthcare. Oh my, that's a very nice niche to have if you decide to go that way with taxes. Cedric, welcome, sir. Cedric, the tax guru Torbert. Now, Cedric, where are you actually located at? And guys, I'm going to interact with you because I miss being in person for some things just so I can interact. But I want to make sure that I do honor and respect your time. I have no intention of taking the full hour. However, if we need that time, I will use it because I love to take you all's questions and actually answer them and engage with you. So last week, I think I told them I'll probably only be on like 15 minutes and we were on 45. So crazy. If I do go the hour, I just want to give the disclaimer here that Cedric said I can take all the time. Christine, humid. It's always humid in Atlanta. Lots of rain lately, but sunny and in the 90s. Cool. Well, I hope you stay hydrated out there. So, Derek, I'm wanting to become an enrolled agent through the IRS. How do I start? Oh, very nice question. Let me do this before I get too far. Let me go ahead for those of you that don't know me. So my name is Timlin Bowens and I am America's favorite EA. If you're not familiar with the EA credential, I'm an enrolled agent licensed through the Internal Revenue Service, which means that I can represent taxpayers before the IRS in all 50 states. I'm also the owner of Bowen's Tax Solutions, which is located in Louisville, Kentucky, but we are a virtual firm. So I have clients right now in Iraq, I have a client in Italy, I have clients all over the world. Okay. But that tax representation is the main thing that I do. So typically I work with taxpayers that are being levied, which means the IRS is in that bank account or taken from their paycheck, right? I also work with clients that are uh, actively facing an audit or they owe over $100,000. All right. Now, under the America's Favorite EA platform is where I do teach online, but I also teach at in person events. I have the podcast Tax Relief with Timbaland Bowens. And today I'm going to actually be sharing with you all what I'm going to be launching on September 18th. So make sure you stick around for that. So I have a few more questions that I'm going to address because I have some comments popping in. And then we're going to get into our scheduled program. All right. So I want to talk to you all about the Tax Pros representation journey. Okay. Because I get inquiries similar to Dennis, or I'm sorry, I'm saying Dennis. Derek Dennis Sr. They're like, hey, I'm interested in becoming an EA. Where do I start? Once I, pass the EA exam, when can I start getting clients? How do I start getting clients? What made you become an EA? Which, by the way, if you want to know more about that, you can check out episode 1 of the Tax Relief with Timbaland Bowens podcast. And I do talk about that. So today, in talking about the journey, I'm going to talk about where should you start when it comes to representing taxpayers before the IRS, how to get your first client, and then how to continue hitting the goals that you set for yourself as a tax professional. So let me go back up. So I want to say it's Rajon. So he says, hey, Timlin, hope you're doing well. I'm a qualified CMA and I want to work in the US tax. So for that, should I go for a CPA or EA? Well, it really is going to depend on who you want to work for. For some people, they don't really care which designation you have. If it's going to be specific to tax, those that are knowledgeable in the tax world know that the EA exam tests more on tax competency versus the CPA exam. But honestly, it depends who you're going to be working for. If I had somebody stateside working for me, because we do primarily representation work and not internal audits or financials, I would probably want an EA, although a CPA can also represent taxpayers before the IRS as well. All right. So Deepa shared, I'm from Nepal, so I got to fly to India for the exams. I haven't scheduled it yet. Need to prepare so that I can pass it in one go. Absolutely. Um, Oh my goodness, you have to travel quite the distance. So, best wishes to you in studying. I hope you are able to pass that in one go so you don't have to keep taking trips. But yeah, best wishes to you. So let's see, let's see. Hey, Dominique Hill. In case you guys don't know, Dominique Hill is also a tax professional. She is here in Louisville, Kentucky. Um, what we just had our annual reports due 2 months ago. So Dominique also helps businesses that are local to Kentucky with doing things as far as getting those annual reports filed. If you need help getting your business set up, the actual LLC part with the state, she also offers that as a service as well. Thank you for joining me today, Dominique, and thank you. I am my favorite EA, but I think I may be a little biased. So thanks for sharing that. Thank you so much, Derek. Charge my head, not my heart. But I promise, since people call me the wrong name, I will call you Derek and not Dennis. All right. All right. You are going to stop gassing me up. Thank you, Ian. Ian says my favorite EA is on live. Yes, sir. And happy belated birthday to you. I hope you had a great one. I saw it was your birthday. I did actually post it on the day of, but I hope you had an amazing day. So here we go, Derek. Yes, she is. All right. So y'all are going to stop gassing me up, right? But since Ian's not actually a tax professional, not going to lie, this one kind of made my day a little bit more. You guys are sitting here gassing me up a little bit. Let me get to my notes, all right? So, if you were on with me last week, will you let me know in the comments? Because what happened is I picked a topic because, like I said, I get inquiries from tax professionals or people that are thinking about switching careers, and they're like, hey, how do I become an EA? Should I become an EA or do the CPA license? Just like we saw here in the comments. How do I start? How do I get a client? How do I get experience? And I was like, when I was on this road, I tell people I had a very privileged experience because I went straight from college to one of the top firms in the world, right? So I had that umbrella of protection. I had that training. I was able to ask my quote unquote stupid questions in person versus the internet. So I didn't get roasted for asking those questions and getting that hands on experience. So I got to touch a little bit of everything and I had a better idea of what I wanted to actually do. Well, now in the age of the internet, and we have access to so much information, more people know about the EA designation, and you can just reach out to people, right? You don't have to go through as many books and study. And the things that I recommended for last week, I'm not going to go completely into it. Just a very quick recap. If you want to watch the whole thing, right here on LinkedIn, I kept the replay up and on Facebook. That's it. Number one, you have to remember your why. And for the people who didn't have a why, it was pretty awesome because people were sharing their whys in the comments. If you don't have a why, I gave you homework last Tuesday to go ahead and establish what your why is. And then you were supposed to send it to me last Friday in my inbox. If you were on here and you didn't do that, no shade. But I enjoyed the ones that I did get and just seeing like where you guys are. So number 1, remember your why or establish that why. All right? The next thing was to set impact goals because a lot of people pursuing the EA designation, they set income goals, which is all fine and dandy, but like I shared last week, impact is what's going to matter because that's what's going to actually keep you in the profession. So I said like the money from representation will draw you in, but it won't keep you because trust me, taxpayers are rude. And if they owe the IRS, especially like in my situation where I work with the people getting levied, so the IRS is taking money out of every paycheck. They're going in once or twice a month, getting that bank account. These people are under a high amount of stress and they will dump their stress out on you like it's their fault that they owe. All right. They're crazy. There are some ROs, which are revenue officers, revenue agents that are crazy as well. So it's a very intense job. And if you're only doing it for the money, getting that money is only worth it to a certain extent, right? So you have to have that why to go back on. You have to have those impact goals to be able to measure. And then last but not least, I said find your tribe, find your community. All right. Because those are the people that are going to be like minded and even a little bit further ahead of you, a little bit further behind you, that are going to help push you towards those impact goals and also remembering your why. Okay. So this week, we are, like I said, talking about the tax rep pros or the tax pros tax representation journey. But let me get to my notes because as you all can see, when we start talking taxes, I can just start talking, talking, talking. So I want to make sure I stay on track today. All right. Let me see. So, our 3 points today, where are you in your journey? That's number one. Number two, how to get started, i.e., getting your first client. Because as I mentioned last week, a lot of people will pass the EA exam and never represent anybody because they're scared. As tax professionals, we also get caught up in analysis paralysis where we just watch and we don't do anything. You would not believe. So, I spoke at a conference this past June in Florida, and I said, "How do you market? Like, how do you let people know that you do this type of work?" And it was crazy to me. There were people in there that have been EAs longer than me. And I said, "So you don't get on social media and tell people what you do? Like, you only have the EA behind your name?" So, one of the things I encouraged them to do was take a picture of the presentation that I was giving. Because, I mean, at that time, I think I was doing how to remove a tax lien. I said, take a picture of this and say, hey, spending the day in training, learning XYZ. Less than half of the people did it because they were scared. So, here in your journey, I know Derek, yes, Derek, not Dennis, already shared that he is interested in pursuing the EA credentials. So, Rajan already gave me kind of an idea. We're looking at either the EA credentials or the CPA credentials. So for the rest of you all, if you are an EA, if you are a CPA, let me know in the comments. Or if you are neither one, but you're thinking about pursuing one or currently pursuing one, let me know in the comments. And while you all are doing that, I'm going to catch up because you guys are blowing the comments up right now. Dominique, you are more than welcome. I enjoy working with other tax professionals because one, we don't always do the same thing. Two, even if we do the same thing, we're all different. A client that loves Dominique may not love me, not because I can't do the work, but our styles of communication and working with the client are going to be completely different. So, absolutely no issue with shouting you out at all. All right, so I guess nobody's talking to me except for Derek right now. And I can see you guys online, so I know you're watching. But Derek says, my why is learning the ins and outs of being an EA. It's important to me to know exactly what I'm doing and what my clients' needs are. That is a good and noble why. So, right now in your journey, you are exploring the, you're exploring your options, becoming an EA. What I will warn you on is with that, a lot of people, they feel like they need to know everything before they can actually get started. Whereas honestly, the best thing you can do after getting the credentials is either partner with somebody that you can work under or join a community of people that are more experienced than you and go ahead and start getting the clients, because just like anything else you learn, you have to actually do the work for it to stick and for you to learn different things, right? So when you take the written part of the driver's exam, you could be like, "Oh, I know how to drive." You really don't until you get behind the wheel, right? So with that being said, I want some of you all, some other people to let me know where you were at in your journey. And while you're doing that, Rajan says, I'm a qualified CMA and I'm confused between CPA or EA. So CPAs are, it's more of a state designation. So here in Kentucky, we have the Kentucky Society of CPAs, whereas me being an EA, I'm licensed through the Internal Revenue Service. So we have a federal designation. Sorry, I'm fading into my background. Federal designation, and then we have a state designation. So right off the bat, as an EA, like I said, I can represent clients in all 50 states. Um, because the CPA license is also a state thing, the different states can decide on the different requirements for being eligible to become a CPA. So, for example, in some states, you have to have 150 school credit hours, and then you also have to have a certain amount of experience. All right. Whereas with the EA exam, you don't have to have a certain amount of credit hours or experience before you sit for the exam. The other thing, the EA exam is 3 sections, all focused on tax. And then the CPA exam is 4 sections. And there is a section called Reg, I believe. And only a portion of that is law and like tax law. So maybe 1/6, 1/8 of the CPA exam actually covers tax, whereas the EA exam is going to cover only tax. All right. Here you guys go gassing me up again. Well, thank you so much for joining my fellow EA. See, and that's why clients were like, "Well, how are you America's favorite EA?" I'm not making it up, guys. Like I said, I have clients literally across the country, different parts of the world. They all say that I'm their favorite. So, if I'm the favorite of different people in different states and I can make it all the way across the country, my conclusion is America's favorite EA. But thank you for joining, Bull. So, you guys aren't really talking to me about where you are on the journey now, other than Derek, which I appreciate. But what I want to talk about with the journey now is that you never arrive to perfection. Okay. So even me, as America's favorite EA, I have not arrived. I'm always learning. Once you actually get the EA designation, there's a certain amount of continuing education that you have each year. You have to have a certain amount of ethics. You have a certain amount for federal tax law updates. So you have to constantly be learning. And that's understandable, right? Because the Tax Cut Job Act, what was that, 2018, 2017, was the biggest tax overhaul that we'd seen up since like the 70s. Then we went bam right into COVID. So with COVID, we've seen things on the forms and laws change like almost every year since the pandemic started, which is crazy. So there's no way that I could think I could pass a test one time and still be competent enough to prepare taxes or even represent taxpayers before the IRS without continuing my education. So if you haven't started yet, there are plenty of study courses now. Whether you decide you do want to become a CPA or an EA, that is your prerogative, right? I would say it depends on the type of work you want to do, and again, your why. The main thing that differentiates an EA from other tax professionals is the representation piece, being able to stand in that stead for taxpayers in front of the IRS. However, as I mentioned earlier, CPAs can also represent taxpayers as well as tax attorneys. But again, each and every one of us has something that is very specific that still differentiates us from each other. So, for an example, if my client was having an issue and it became a criminal matter, I can represent them before the IRS. I cannot represent them in the court of law. They would need a tax attorney for that, right? So the tax attorney is the only person that can do that. Like I said with the CPAs, they're going to be more familiar with what's going on at a local and state level because it's a state designation. Does that mean they can't represent you before the IRS? No, but that's just something else to consider when you're looking at it. So, on your journey, no matter where you're at now, you need to make sure you have the three things from last week: your why, you need to make sure you have your impact goals, and you need to make sure that you have your community. So, right now, in your journey, since you guys aren't talking to me, make sure you understand where you're at in that process of the three things that you need. So, number two, how to get started, i.e., getting your first client. Now, I'm no marketing guru. All right. I am in a community that is very specific, is specifically for tax resolution marketing. But while I've been there, I've learned I've learned a thing or two. And also, in addition to learning a thing or two, there have been some things I've been able to tweak and make my own, right? So, with getting your first client, let me ask you all this because I need some participation. I need some energy. All right. So, if getting your first tax resolution client is a worry or concern for you, then let me know in the comments. Because if you guys are good on marketing, don't need to know how to get your first client, then I don't need to cover this, right? We can just move on to point three. So, Derek, you asked the cost for course. Which course are you referencing? If I'm telling you all about stuff I'm in, I need to make sure I have some affiliate links, don't I? So for the EA exam, the different study materials. So for me personally, I took Fast Forward Academy. I had their book, did a few things online with practice exams, but I also did Passkey. With Passkey, it's an online platform, so you could listen to lectures. I'm a person where I need to underline and write things out, so that's why the Fast Forward Academy book worked well for me. Then I did Passkey because I could listen while I was actually doing something else, and they had flashcards and practice tests. Now I'm not sure how much those things cost now because it's been a little minute since I passed all three parts of the EA exam. But now they do have things that are a little more what do you call it, convenient. My tax cousin, I don't know if you all are familiar with Krista Tias. I'll give her a shout out. She does have one. If you go to the site Certifiable, and with hers, you can do the training online live. But now she also has where they have in person live trainings as well as study for the exam. So the cost, I'm not sure exactly what it costs now because, like I said, it that was pre-COVID too. I've slept a lot since then, not slept a lot since then. All right. So when we're looking at getting the first client, the thing that I notice that people overlook the most, and just like I said with the EAs that were in Florida, when I was like, post to social media what you're working on, people will reach out to you about it. You're welcome, Derek. We overlook the network that we've already built. Now, am I saying that you should depend only on friends and family to get your business out there? Absolutely not. Because here's the thing, your friends and family may not fit your client avatar. You can't be frustrated because your friends and family aren't getting tax representation from you if they don't need tax representation. I would be fired up if my brothers came to me with a tax issue because one, they have me here as a resource so they know better. But then two, I wouldn't wish those problems upon anybody, right? So let's take a look. Let's pull back and remember that support is more than money, right? So instead of being upset because friends and family aren't purchasing from you, you can still make friends and family aware of what you do. If you are already a tax professional that has a book of business, make your clients aware that solving tax problems is now a service that you offer, right? Let your friends and family know. You don't have to try to sell them on anything. Let them know, like, hey, IRS enforcement is ramping up. This is a service I offer. I just wanted to let you know in case you know somebody that needs these services. And guess what? Not everybody in your circle will have somebody they know at the same time. However, 1 in 50 taxpayers has an issue with the IRS. So the more that you let people know that you solve these problems, your chances of somebody reaching out with a problem are going to increase. But here's the thing, you have to let them know that it's a service you offer, right? Because if you don't promote your business, who else is going to, right? That's nobody's job but yours. Okay. So I'm going to check something on LinkedIn because LinkedIn is actually where all the action was coming from last week. And it just all of a sudden stopped on me. So I want to make sure I'm still connected on LinkedIn. If you're reviewing on LinkedIn right now, will you leave me a comment or just a hey, we can still see you, hear you on LinkedIn? Pretty please. Okay, super weird. So I can see the comments. Oh no, nope, you guys can't see them because I got the background. Okay, I have quite a few comments rolling in on LinkedIn. I don't know why they're not popping up. My LinkedIn people, I am not trying to ignore you. I just can't see your comments anymore. So I'm going to get to my last point for today. I'm sorry because I feel like I've been kind of all over the place. But if you're still with me, Derek, Bull, Rajan, all you folks, if you are still with me, just let me know in the comments like, hey, I'm still here. All right. I am sorry. I did not know. My notes keep leaving. All right, so we talked about where you're at on the journey now. You guys didn't want to share with me. That's fine, whatever. All right, so where are you in the journey? Are you getting started? Are you thinking about it? Make sure, though, before you get full blast start, that you have that why established, you have those impact goals established, okay? Number two, we talked about how to get started, i.e., getting your first client. Thank you. I want to say Javier. He says, we can hear you on LinkedIn. Awesome. Derek says, I'm here. Bull says, we are still here. We can hear. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. So, my last point is how to be consistent and reach your goals. So, again, last week I talked about the impact goals because you all, this truly does pay well doing representation work. And of course, you have to do the work and know what you're doing and actually get clients results. But as I said, it's not enough to keep you if you're not happy and understand that why. So, to reach your goals, one of the main things that you have to make sure that you do is surround yourself, and it sounds so cliche, but you need to surround yourself with like-minded people. In this tax game industry, it is so important to understand that you need to surround yourself with people that have integrity. All right. I went a what used to be traditional route. So I did the 4+ years of college. I did the 3 busy seasons at a big CPA firm before stepping out on my own. So, like I said, I had that privilege, that covering umbrella of training, hands on experience, people that have been in the industry for years, decades even, to be able to help and guide me. Nowadays, you get advertisements in the fall, winter, and spring about become a tax professional, make a quick $30,000, and people are coming to it for the money, right? But they don't have the ethics or the integrity. You want to make sure, especially in this era of social media, that the people in your community that you were hooking arms with and saying, like, yeah, that's my tax bro, my taxes, that they have integrity. Because guess what? If they go down, you all know how the saying goes, birds of the same feather flock together. You don't want to be associated with somebody who's been practicing unethically, right? The other part, after them having integrity, you want to make sure that you have people that have the same type of goals that you have. All right. So for me, again, it is all about impact. Derek said exactly. So I must be over here preaching, right? Guys, your in this business, your name and reputation is all you have. And once you lose that, I don't know how to help you. Look, because you can get out of trouble, the legal trouble, but you can't do anything for your reputation after it's gone down the drain. But I digress. I'm going to move on, okay? You want to make sure you surround yourself with people that are going to push you towards your goals. So let's say, for example, um, well, I'm gonna call you out. And look, after this live, if I'm not saying your name right, please send me a message. You can send me a voice message and be like, "You say my name this way." Okay? But just give me an example of an impact goal that you want to have. All right? So if you want to share an income goal, that's fine, but an impact goal. So an example for me, um, I always say on my podcast, on my lives, I'm on a mission, and I don't just say it, it's true. I'm on a mission to fill the tax literacy gap, one taxpayer at a time. So, with every podcast episode that goes out, every YouTube video that goes out, it makes my day when somebody sends me an email to be like, hey, I totally didn't get that concept. Now I do, and I understand. Sometimes that's all I get. Sometimes I don't even get a thank you. But to know that I got a taxpayer from point A of understanding to point B is the impact that I want to have. I want to help people avoid issues with the IRS, which may seem ironic because that's what I get paid to do is get them out of the trouble. But my heart's desire is to help them not be there in the first place, right? So I think he left me. But you need to be with people that you can be vulnerable with to be able to share what your impact goals are, right? So I have a certain amount of people that I want to help with their IRS problem each year. I have a certain amount of tax professionals that each year I want to teach tax representation work to, that I want to help build a community to help propel them forward. Which brings me to with the community on September 18th. Derek, I got you a little bit late, but Derek says being an effective tax agent and get folks to see the real picture as it pertains to tax laws. Listen, and that's a good one. So, setting that number of like how many people you want to actually impact with that each month, whether it be you start a podcast, you hold a seminar, you get out there and you do presentations within the community. That is definitely an impact goal that you want to make sure you have accountability partners to help push you toward. But let me get back. September 18th, I am going to actually be launching a new community, and it's not just for EAs. You all, I got in trouble last week because I did my live on you passed the EA exam, now what? And I had more than one person reach out and say, "Hey, I want to do tax representation, but I'm a CPA. I have no interest in becoming an EA." And I was like, "Whoops." The video, the things I covered still would be relevant to them too. They're just not an EA. So that's why I'm giving the disclaimer. You don't have to be an EA to join this community. You have to, one, have integrity, because if you don't, I don't want you connected to me. I'll give you that disclaimer right here. Two, be pursuing tax representation as your desired niche or career choice, however you want to word that. And then three, be willing to give feedback in the community so we can make it better. So it is going to actually be called the tax the tax professionals tax representation journey. So what is going to happen on September 18th, which is a Monday, that morning when this program launches, for each person that has paid to be there, because yes, it is going to be a paid group, they will get a podcast on that morning. And these podcasts will be anywhere from 10 to 15 minutes. But what I'm going to be sharing with you are different things to help you along your tax representation journey. And in that, you are always going to walk away with 3 steps to implement for the week. Now, I'm going to deal with things such as how to get clients, your workflow, the different processes that you need to go through to see what a client actually qualifies for. Because I had an email this morning at 6:30. Um, this CPA, I don't know them. They said they got my information from another tax professional. They said, "Hey, my client is going to owe about this much. Can you help me with an offer and compromise?" My first question is, how do you know they qualify for an offer and compromise, right? So one of the things in the tax professionals representation journey that I'm going to be sharing is we're not going to just jump to conclusions about what we think a taxpayer qualifies for. There's a process to actually walk them through so that you know what their options are. And then you can go back to them and present them with the options and see which way they want to go. All right. So I'll be sharing things like that each week on the podcast on Mondays. And like I said, you'll have 3 steps to implement to push you a little bit further for that week. And in addition to that, each week on Wednesday, you will also have a very niche specific article that's written. And these things are not going to be available on my Facebook page, LinkedIn, anything like that. You will have to be part of the community. So it will take a deeper dive into what we looked at on the podcast and then also have steps for you to implement. Here's the fun part though. Not on Facebook, not on LinkedIn, but within the site where the community is at, there is going to be a private group. So, like I said, with the feedback, you will be able to ask me questions about things that I covered in the podcast, things that I covered in the articles, and part of you being in that community, there are going to be things that I ask you on the podcast, in the articles, where I do want to see your response within the community. So it's not going to just be you with a bunch of other tax professionals. You guys go figure it out. I'm going to actually be in there actively with you as well. So like I said, that is going to launch on Monday, September 18th. If you have any questions about it, feel free to reach out and ask, but it is actually live on the website now at americasfavoritea.com. So remember, if you purchase it now, there will be reminders. You will be able to get the podcast as soon as it goes out on the 18th, but you're not going to get anything from me right now today if you purchase it. All right. So Derek says the more folks understand, the less we'll continue to deal with tax issues in our community. I kind of agree with you, but because they say when you know better, you do better. Some people are just hard headed. And some people like to do things where they think they can slide and not get caught. But I do think overall, the more people that we can educate, the less we'll continue to deal with tax issues. Maybe. But if we help reduce the amount of tax issues that are out there, that just gives the IRS the ability to go look in other places. All right. So Derek also says, I'm excited. If you're excited, I hope that means you're coming to join the community. And again, like I said, it's on the America's Favorite EA page and it is a subscription. But check this out. Like I told you all before, when I was talking about Dominique and giving her that shout out, and even though tax professionals may offer the same services, everybody's style, communication method, and things aren't the same. So with the subscription, it is going to be something that's paid monthly, but there's no contract. Because if you don't like it the first month, I don't want you to be stuck with me for a year, right? So you're giving me money. Now you don't like me. I don't like you. And now we got a problem. Absolutely not. So it's 1 month. So you get those 4 articles, you get those 4 podcasts, you get to be in the community for that time. If you decide you don't want it, you cancel the payment and you're gone. Now, I will tell you this, it is going to be like a, let's say, Netflix of tax information that is specific to tax representation. So once you cancel that subscription, you're not taking anything with you. You're going to lose access to everything. But if you decide, like, hey, this is good, um, I want to stay here, then yeah, each month you can make that payment and stay. Right. So a bull says to go to representation resolution journey and to be successful. Let me put this up so I can read the whole thing. To go to representation resolution journey and to be successful like you. Oh, here you guys go gas me up again. Who just recently received his EA credential. What should they do? My specialty is in cryptocurrency tax. So this is an amazing question. So first thing I think you should do is, and this is no joke, it just happens to be off the back of what I said, you need to join a community, right? Because there are going to be people that can help you within the tax representation world that can't necessarily help you within the cryptocurrency world. So I would find a community for both places. So for me specifically, let's use me as an example. I can help you all day in the tax representation world, right? But when it comes to cryptocurrency, not as well. So if you have a client who's in tax trouble because of all the gains they had from the different crypto that they sold, cool. I can help you with that. As far as staying in compliance, once we get the resolution, I'm not your person. Crypto is above my pay scale. Once you get rolling, please let me know because you will be a good person to refer to. But again, you need to make sure you have community with people in the representation space, community with people in the crypto space, and that you stay diligent in educating yourself, right? Because the rules around cryptocurrency have also been evolving because now we have better ways to track things. The IRS has set more rules as far as reporting is concerned. So, the main thing for you in those communities, don't just sit there and attempt to soak everything in, go ahead, start advertising yourself as that expert because there are going to be things that you can't even learn until you actually get into your first case. And when you're stuck, that's what that community is there for, to help you to still be successful in it, right? So, like I said, I would be able to help you with that tax representation piece. But then when calculating the gains and everything and what type of wallet the client has and all that, you need a crypto expert that can help you in that as well. So if I answered your question, let me know. If it's still clear as mud, then let me know that too. So I don't think I have any other questions. So again, our 3 points. Where are you in your journey now? Because we have to be honest with ourselves. You can't make any progress if you don't um, actually realize where you're at now. Two, we talked about how to get started, i.e., getting your first client and leveraging your network for that. And then number three was how to be consistent and reach your goals. And with that, that is having community that is going to have similar, not necessarily the same, impact goals as you, the same ethics as you, right? Because we're protecting our reputation, our name, because really that's all we have in this industry. If you all do not have any more questions for me right now, thank you so much for joining me. I will be back next Tuesday at 11 to cover a different topic as far as tax representation is concerned. Again, remember on September 18th, the tax representation pros journey is launching. You can find out more information at americasfavoritea.com, or you can send me a message and I will send you the link to check it out. But you all enjoy the rest of your day, and I will see you next Tuesday.